Well, my goodness, I find this rather interesting. Now, tell me again how it's everybody else that moves the needle. Tell me again how Paige Bueckers moves the needle. Somebody explain that to me exactly. I would love to know.
Did you catch the NCAA Final Four ratings? Viewership dropped a jaw-dropping 71% without Caitlin Clark in the mix. That's around 10 million fewer people tuning in for this year's championship games. So, what does that say about the future of women's basketball, especially in sports bars where Clark's games used to pack the place? Fans who showed up in big numbers for Clark just weren't there this time. And now, all eyes are on Paige Bueckers. People are wondering if she can carry the spotlight. The difference in attention between Clark and the rest is huge, sparking major conversation across social media and sports outlets. Today, we're breaking down why this drop has experts talking and what it might mean for the future of the women's game.
UConn's Final Four matchup this year dropped by over 10 million viewers from last year's matchup against Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Right there. 14.2 million viewers last year to 4.1 million this year.
Did you see the ratings? This year's Final Four matchup between UConn and UCLA drew just 4.1 million viewers. Compare that to last year, when Caitlin Clark and Iowa went up against UConn, minus 14.2 million people watched. That's a massive 71% drop, and you can bet TVXX are seriously worried about what that means moving forward.
In case you are not paying attention, that's 10.1 million less viewers compared to last year. 10.1 million?
When UConn lifted the championship trophy this year, something felt missing. Caitlin Clark wasn't on the court, and millions of viewers decided not to tune in. This sharp drop in viewership shows what many of us have been saying. Clark is a once-in-a-generation talent who changes the way people connect with women's basketball. Let's be clear, this wasn't just a random dip in the ratings. It was a mass exit of casual fans who showed up for Clark and disappeared when she wasn't playing. The UConn-UCLA semifinal should have been a huge draw, with two powerhouse programs fighting for a championship spot. But without Clark's star power, the numbers took a nosedive.
It's funny, this is from a thread with, I think it's Serena Williams' husband. She was basically saying, someone said it's literally driven by Caitlin, I bet money on it. And then they talked about potentially making the bet. And I don't think anyone would have thought it would drop this much.
It's kind of funny. This all started from a thread, and I think it was Serena Williams' husband who brought it up. Someone had said that the ratings were literally driven by Caitlin Clark, and he joked that he bet money on it. Then they actually talked about making the bet, but I don't think anyone expected the drop to be this huge.
There were less people watching than when Caitlin Clark played the year before. So there is a common denominator. And my favorite thing is like, oh, the only reason Caitlin Clark's popular is because of Angel Reese. Caitlin Clark with it versus Angel Reese. Caitlin Clark without Angel Reese. Double the viewers. Literally double. And then, ironically, Caitlin Clark's Elite 8 had 10 million, then her Final Four. The next game against Caitlin versus Paige at 14 million. Like, anyone saying it because of Angel Reese is like, it is one of the craziest things.
Did you catch that? Alexis Ohanian, tech entrepreneur and Serena Williams' husband, called it exactly. He boldly predicted that no other player could move the needle like Caitlin Clark, and wow, was he spot on. His bet that Clark's absence would cause a massive drop in viewership turned out to be spot on. When someone with that much insight into the sports world makes a prediction and it plays out perfectly, you have to admit, they saw something others missed. What's really telling is that this drop wasn't limited to just one game. Both semifinal matchups saw a huge decline in viewers, proving it wasn't about team rivalries or specific matchups. This was all about star power, Caitlin Clark's star power. The casual fans who tuned in last year for her simply didn't show up this time.
It's almost underestimating the Caitlin Clark mania. Like, everyone watched that game. Everyone who has ever watched a game of basketball in their life watched that game. It was bigger than the men's final. Everyone who has anything in basketball was watching that game last year. Whereas this year's game was just another game. A good game. Like, UConn were exceptional, but it was just another game.
Think about what 10 million viewers really means. That's more people than live in New York City. It's like filling every NFL stadium across the country and still having people left over. This huge shift in viewership shows just how massive Caitlin Clark's impact is on women's basketball. Her influence isn't just big, it's one of a kind.
Comment a minute ago, I was addressing this comment right here. So the cult of Caitlin doesn't actually like women's basketball, color me shocked. Or they love transcendent superstars, of which there are no others. Sorry, that's a fact. For a long time,
the numbers tell us something that some basketball purists might not want to hear. For millions of people, their interest in women's college basketball was tied directly to watching one player. Without Caitlin Clark, they just didn't care enough to tune in. This isn't a knock on the other amazing talents in the women's game. It's just recognizing the unmatched drawing power of a truly transcendent superstar.
I mean, most people don't watch sports unless you give them a reason to tune in. Caitlin Clark gives people a reason.
This brings up a bigger question. Is this huge drop in viewership just about loving one superstar, or is there something else at play? Does this have a name in basketball history, and have we seen this kind of pattern before? When Magic Johnson and Larry Bird entered the NBA, something incredible happened. They made basketball must-see TV overnight.
For a long time, it was only Magic and Larry. All right? Then Michael came along.
Magic and Bird were players who made people who never cared about basketball suddenly become loyal fans. Sound familiar? That's exactly what we're seeing with Caitlin Clark.
Now keep in mind, there were other real stars of the NBA at that time, but they weren't transcendent in the way that Magic and Larry were.
Basketball history shows us a simple truth. Generational talents change how millions of casual viewers connect with the game. Magic and Bird weren't just players. They were the reason millions of new fans discovered basketball. Their games lit up the court like beacons, drawing in people who'd never shown interest before. This kind of impact has only happened with a few players throughout basketball history.
For a long
Jordan, when he arrived, the NBA saw an explosion in popularity. As one basketball historian put it, Jordan was like a mix of Larry Bird and Steph Curry with the branding power of his own name. His incredible athleticism and fierce competitiveness changed how basketball was seen, making the NBA a cultural phenomenon that went beyond just sports. Now, look at what's happening with Caitlin Clark and women's college basketball. The pattern is the same. She's that rare athlete who gets people who've never watched women's basketball to say, "I need to see what this Clark is doing." Her deep three-pointers echo Curry's gravity-defying shots, while her no-look passes remind us of Magic's magical court vision. The huge viewership numbers are coming from millions of casual fans who normally wouldn't tune in.
Everyone can't be Caitlin Clark generational, but Paige is, quote, a good player. Of course, there's the needle moving right there.
The comparison between Caitlin Clark and other stars highlights a key truth. The shift in viewership between Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark shows what insiders call a swift death in interest. This isn't a knock on Paige. She's incredible in her own right. It's about recognizing that Clark has something unique, that rare ability to draw in people who otherwise wouldn't care about the sport.
And then, I stand by this, LSU-Iowa Part 2 is the most important women's basketball game ever because everyone showed up. Everyone that was meant to show up showed up. There were more people watching that game than watching the first one. More people watched the rematch. And the rematch was mental. The stuff, like, Caitlin Clark did some things to Hailey Van Lith that may have broken the violated the Geneva Convention.
Here's the uncomfortable truth. Casual fans are essential for any sport's growth. As one sports media expert put it, without them, a sport is doomed. Hardcore fans will always show up, but they're not enough to drive real growth. Clark's impact is huge because she's bringing in the exact type of new viewers women's basketball needs to grow. Some critics argue that Clark's popularity is driven by favoritism or demographics, but the numbers tell a different story. Her incredible shooting range, court vision, and highlight-worthy passes create moments that go beyond just basketball fans.
If you were a fan of, if you just wanted to see one team play spectacularly, UConn are that. South Carolina were terrible. They were absolutely terrible. But UConn at least played spectacularly. But if we look at the previous finals, like the LSU-Iowa game was crazy. Like that was mad. Before all this type of stuff, it was a mad game. Like I blanked on your one's name coming off the bench and just nailing every shot she took.